Hi, this is Lakshmi. I am a storyteller from Bengaluru, India, and I'm very glad to be taking part in Project Decamerone 2020. What is Decamerone and what is this project all about? Let me brief you a bit. In Europe, between the years 1347 and 1351, there occurred the deadliest pandemic recorded in human history called the Black Death caused it was a kind of a plague that was caused by the bacterium Yersinia pestis. Now, Decamerone is a book. It is a fictional work by the 14th century Italian author Giovanni Boccaccio, who structured this book as a frame story with Black Death as the backdrop. The frame story is like this. In Italy, during the time of Black Death, a group of seven young women and three young men flee Florence and come to a deserted villa in the countryside of Fiesole and stay there for 2 weeks. To pass their evenings, each of them tell a story each night, except for a couple of days where they do nothing at all, which resulted in 10 nights of storytelling, having told 100 stories in total. Each of the 10 members is appointed as the king or the queen for one of the 10 days of storytelling in turn, and that king or queen gets to choose the theme of the stories for that particular day. Here at Project Decamerone 2020, we storytellers from around the world are contributing home videos of stories from this book, Decamerone, to cheer people up during the COVID-19 quarantine. And I'm very glad to be narrating two stories from this book. And here is one. In this video, I'm going to narrate the first story of day 10. The king of day 10 was Pamphilo, who chose the theme of the day's stories to be that of deeds of generosity. And the first story of that night was narrated by Nephile. The story goes like this. Once there lived in Tuscany a gallant gentleman who was both rich and high-spirited. His name was Messer Ruggieri di Giovanni. Now he, seeing that he had no fitting opportunities for his skills there in Tuscany, he decided to seek service with the King of Spain, King Alfonso, who was very popular, very famous at that time than any other kings. So Messer Ruggieri packed his arms, his horses, and with his followers set out to Spain, where upon reaching there, he was graciously received at the king's court. There, Messer Ruggieri lived splendidly and did a marvelous job of whatever was entrusted to him, and very soon he came to be known as a man of worth and valor. But in that very short stay that Messer Ruggieri had there in the king's court, he came to observe one thing about the king's behavior. The king bestowed castles, cities, and ranks upon people, on anybody who didn't seem worthy of it. He didn't show enough discretion while he was bestowing all of them to such people. So this made Messer Ruggieri think very seriously. Now, the king is giving such great gifts to these people who are undeserving, who are unworthy. Whereas me, who is so worthy, highly qualified, who is entitled to such gifts and rewards, I'm not being given anything, he thought, and being very upset that he was not given due rewards for his services. He became upset and he resigned from his post and took leave of the king. The king granted him leave. Not only that, for his long journey, he gave Messer Ruggieri one of his best and finest mules that was ever ridden. But King Alfonso was very smart. He thought that there was something wrong in the way that Messer Ruggieri resigned and left. He was not satisfied. He saw that there was something there which was not closing the loop. So, what he did was he appointed a very trustworthy official to accompany Messer Ruggieri on his way, on his journey, in such a way that Messer Ruggieri does not get any clue that the man with him was the king's man. That official should go in a disguise in such a way that he should not appear to have been sent by the king. And this official was to note each and every word spoken by Messer Ruggieri about the king. And that official had to go back to the court, repeat all those words, and also next morning get Messer Ruggieri back to the court in front of the king. Accordingly, the official had to obey the orders. He waited for Messer Ruggieri's departure, and once he had reached the city, he joined him as company, telling him that he was also bound to Italy. And both of them went along, traveled along, rode along a very long distance, and all along they chit-chatted, they had conversations and this and that. And all that way, that official kept note of whatever Messer Ruggieri was speaking about the king. As they went a little further, and when it was evening, they thought it was time for them to take a little rest, and also for their animals also to take some rest. So they put their animals in a stable where they rested, except for Messer Ruggieri's mule, which did not rest. It was rather restless and just went about here and there. And after a little while, they rode on again and went along the way. Still, the official took note of whatever Messer Ruggieri was speaking about the king. As they went a little further, they came upon a stream, and they thought it was time for them to water the cattle. When they all got down their animals and they were about to water their animals, Messer Ruggieri's mule plunged into the waters and rested there, began to rest there, and sort of refused to come out of the waters. Now, seeing that, Messer Ruggieri remarked, "Oh, you beast, you are made of the same fashion as the king who gave you to me." Now, these words the official took note of. And he also observed that all day Messer Ruggieri spoke everything about the king except for any slightest praise at all for the king. The next morning, as they were ready to go about their route onto Italy, the official revealed to Messer Ruggieri as to who he was, and also the king's command that he be brought back to the court. Messer Ruggieri, not being able to refuse the king's order, the king's command, had to go back to the court. When they arrived, the king, upon learning what Messer Ruggieri had told of the mule, he called him over and with a cheerful favor asked him why he had likened him to his mule, or rather, why he had likened the mule to him. To that Messer Ruggieri said, "My lord, I likened the mule to you because you give away rewards where it is not befitting, and where it is befitting, you do not give anything. The mule, it did not rest in the place where it was appropriate for it, the stable, but then it went to rest in a place where it was not suitable for it, the water stream." The king said, "Messer Ruggieri, if I have not given unto you what I have given unto many others who are in no account in comparison with you, it has not happened because I did not recognize your valiance or that I am unaware of your merit. It has happened because of your own fortune that has not allowed you to have such great gifts, and I shall prove it to you," he said. Messer Ruggieri said, My lord, I was not humiliated because you did not reward me with great gifts. I don't desire to be richer than I am. I was upset because you did not witness my merit. However, my lord, I take your reason for good and honorable, and I am ready to see that which you please to show me. I believe you. Then the king, King Alfonso, took Messer Ruggieri to his great hall where there were many people present. There, as the king had ordered beforehand, there were two locked great coffers, chest boxes. He said, Messer Ruggieri, do you see these two coffers here? In one of them are my crown, the royal scepter, the orb, many girdles, ouches, rings, and precious jewels of mine. And the other coffer is full of earth, full of mud. You may choose either of the coffers, and whatever be inside that shall be yours. You can take it. Messer Ruggieri gladly chose one of the coffers, which, upon being opened, was full of earth, full of mud. King Alfonso laughed and said, now you see, Messer Ruggieri, what I told you about your fortune is true. And Messer Ruggieri did not know what to speak. The king compassionately continued. He said, but I assure you that you are worth your merit, Messer Ruggieri, and I am going to oppose myself to the fortune's might. I know that you have no desire to stay back here in Spain, and so I will not give you castles or cities. But this, the other coffer, which is filled with great valuables, you can take them. I give it to you. You can take them. Carry it to your country and glorify yourself of your worth in the sight of your countrymen as these gifts, as my gifts, as the proof. Messer Ruggieri thanked the king profusely. He was very grateful for his kindness, for his generosity, and took that coffer, which was filled with great valuables, and joyfully returned to Tuscany. Thank you.